Hello. Well, this is an extra presentation about the markets today. Today it's Monday, March 28, 2011. And I'm going to talk about how to use technical analysis to analyze the market and create strategies that can be traded or that for investments. Just keep in mind that what I'll be talking about, it's just an example on how to use it. It's not intended to be a trading recommendation or an investment recommendation. I'm just giving a few examples, and it's important to keep in mind that the goal of that presentation is just educational. So let's move to MetaStock, and let's start with the S&P 500. What we see here, and I spoke about that last week, was that the S&P 500 was able to trade above that downward trend line, and if we could stay today above that trend line, it would be wonderful. Point is, we traded most of the day above the trend line and we closed just at the trend line. So we need to see how the market is going to behave the next few days, if we are going to move sideways or correct, have a deeper correction, or if we are going to go back upwards. So what I see here, it's basically that the market is in a decision point. We traded higher and we reached that trend line here. Basically, I see 3 wave correction and I see 3 waves up here. If we are able to sustain that up movement, that upwards movement, we should be able to reach this top here or even this one. And in the next few days we are going to see what will happen, but tomorrow will be a key day for decisions for the short term. In other words, tomorrow will be the day that the market will define itself. It's going to trade lower or higher. Right now, possibilities that I see is that we have another downwards movement that can stand beyond March low, and that will happen in April if it happens at all. Or we can stay in a sideways movement, a little price hesitation around that region, even touching this 1300 level in the S&P 500, but we should stay above that downward trend line to keep some hope in for an uptrend. So that's what I see in the S&P 500. The Dow Jones has basically the same type of behavior. However, it was able to reach this former top here, this previous top, and that type of correction, it's very bullish. So if we stay above that trend line, we might trade lower, but we should close always above that trend line. We will be able to trade higher. So in the Dow Jones, I still see quite a lot of buying pressure. Not as much on the S&P 500, but the Dow Jones still has a lot of buying pressure. The Nasdaq has been the weakest of the 3 indices and had a very deep correction today, and even during the recovery it was not able to trade above that downward trend line here, and barely closed above the 50-day moving average. So first support region is this one, between 2,285 and 2,300. That's the next support region. We should be reaching that level tomorrow, And then again, for the Nasdaq, tomorrow will be a big decision day. The Canadian index, S&P TSX 60, also traded sharply lower. The S&P TSX 60 was stronger than the US indices, and that's the first high lower than the previous high. So we might see the market correcting for a few days in Canada until we have another bottom here around that region, and which is about, let's see, 14,000 and 13,800 for the TSX. If we trade lower, we should find support in the 13,500 region. However, the shape of the curve, the TSX curve, is a little bit more bullish than the US market curves, and that's pretty much related to the TSX 60 composition, which has a lot of weight on the energy companies, energy and mining, and those companies are in the seasonal strength time of the year. Let's talk now about one stock that was very strong today. I don't see it here. Let me open it. Okay, it's here. Well, that stock is Halliburton. Halliburton was very strong today. All the drilling companies were strong today. Precision Drilling, Schlumberger, Halliburton, all of them were really strong today. Halliburton had a very high volume, and it broke a very important resistance level. However, there was a big sell-off at the end. Let's move to the 15-minute chart, and you are going to see that the stock was very strong all day long with quite high volume, but there was a huge sell-off in the last hour, and we closed it lower. And that same type of behavior happened with all the drilling companies. And in terms of trading for the short term, at least for the beginning of tomorrow, I expect those companies to be trading lower. Precision Drilling was the same, Schlumberger was the same. All the drilling companies had the same type of behavior. Now let's talk about natural gas. Let's move to a daily chart. Natural gas has been trying to move higher, and Friday it broke that resistance level and closed that gap that had remained open for about 2 months. Today it started trading higher but could not sustain, and at the end it corrected sharply also. Let's open the intraday chart, and we can see that in just 15 minutes it traded sharply lower. And if we go to even shorter term charts like 5 minutes, we are going to see the same type of behavior, a huge sell-off on a very short time frame. So natural gas has been trying to revert that downward trend that has been in effect for years, literally years, It's since 2008 that natural gas is trading lower, and it takes time to revert that type of trend. So in the short term, my expectation is that we are going to see UNG, the US natural gas fund, trading lower until the 1095 region, and maybe even lower. Let's see how it behaves in the next few days. And then it has some potential to make a higher low and then trade higher. However, the 20-day moving average has been a major barrier for any try to trade higher. Only before the long downward trend was that when UNG traded above the 200-day moving average. So before we see more buying strength, buying pressure in natural gas, I don't see a good entry. People that traded natural gas from that breakout here were able to make a very nice 10%, about 10% profit, and it's time now to leave your money resting and waiting for another opportunity. USO, the United States Oil Fund, also has been trading higher, but today was quite weak, and it found resistance last week on the previous top, and it's trading lower now. My expectation is that we are going to have some sideways action before the uptrend resumes. We might find support in the $40 region, 40.50, and we might trade higher from there. But anyway, we still need to find support. It's a very good seasonal for the March, April, May, June time frame, but we still need to see buying force coming back to USO. Well, I would like to thank you all that have been watching me for the last few weeks that I've been posting every day. And if you would like to follow me on Twitter at Josette Seed Trader, or visit us at www.taacademy.com. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.